Hello, hi, this is Eric Lehman, and I'm recording another edition of Morning Has Broken, and I don't want to fix it. I'm rolling out a whole bunch of different things, and as I was listening to a video about magnets, I just I had this like aha moment that I just really wanted to share because I think magnets and lifestyle design all of a sudden came into full glow or full alignment as to how I believe some of these things work. And what I'm what I'm sharing is kind of difficult and amazing all in the same breath. And I feel as though there's there's a lot in what I'm about to share. So I'm kind of feeling the charge of it or the magnitude of it as it's kind of going through my system. And I guess what I'm really wanting to share is that we as parents are tremendous magnets for and with our kids. And I think we may think that this is a good thing all the time, and it's dawning on me that it might not be. And what I mean by that is that I feel that a certain amount of personality development actually gets to happen when we're not around our children. And I think that's the biggest, I don't know, one of the biggest challenges for me, or for the me that I used to be, as it relates for me to, from being a child of parents as well as to being a parent myself now. So, and and also a person. So like I think this is really a big day for some sort of like amazing ahas. Like this was a big time epiphany. And I've been using language around magnets for a while, in terms of how I'm becoming me, and and sometimes that means going against every grain, every lesson that I've ever learned from any parent I've ever had. And if you know any of my story, I've had a good number of parents. And whether or not they were intentionally signing on to be my parents, I created tons of parental figures along the way as I developed, and then I became attached to them and their way of being. And so even several of my mentors, I gave them sort of family status and parent status, and what that meant is at some point I needed to rebel against them. I needed to reverse the polarities of the magnets, and I needed to find my own path. And so I'm just, the aha moment was just I was watching a scientific video about magnetic forces, and it just dawned on me, like, what have I been doing recently is that I've been reversing polarity on a few things and getting distance and space, to better understand who I am here to be. And wow, like to to look at it from an idea of magnets actually kind of takes the charge out of it, which is kind of interesting because magnetics have a charge and a polarity of their own. But if we look at it as that, I think it's a pretty telling way of being. So I guess what I'm saying is, as a parent, and if we look at ourselves as magnets with our children, what kind of magnets do we want to be? And how do we want to strategically reverse the polarity at times when it makes sense to let our kids find their own path, to understand that they have a wavelength all their own waiting for them when we let go of the magnetic charge enough for them to find it. And how do we do that in such a way that we don't take it personally? How do we let people who want to find out what their resonance is, what their frequency is, if we don't give them the space to do that, if we don't not push them, but send them out into the universe, into the world, and say, I love you. I want you to go out and find out who you are. And I know who I am, and I want to be a loving guide. And I have utter faith that your frequency is out there. There are things that I think I know. I don't really know much. You know, I got a lot of schooling, and a lot of what I was taught has already been disproven or enhanced, or, you know, everything I learned in the world of both psychology as well as, you know, program planning. You know, there have been technologies to cut and paste that world together without needing what I think I know. So it's actually a beautifully freeing and humbling experience. And I feel like what I'm excited about is there's so much learning left to do inside. And it just dawned on me. I'm sitting here in a friend's house because I've made the conscious decision to move out of the confines of a big house, and I moved into a camper that's parked inside of a barn. And I did so during one of the coldest winters on record here in the Northeast. And here we are in the beginning of spring, still alive, and I celebrate the bond I currently share with my children. And I feel like it's also because I've let my kids know where my magnet and where my polarity is set, you know, and I'm letting them know who I am. And without judgment, without attachment, having them, you know, make their own decisions about what those polarities mean to them. So it's a very interesting time. I'm really excited to explore it and curious about what it'll yield. And I'm so glad that the analogy showed up today, because I feel like we still need analogies to understand our learning and growth and development. I feel like it's important to say, you know, wow, like this magnet thing, it makes sense. Like, and in order for me to fully break away from a lot of the magnetic forces that I had been experiencing, and there were none that were good or bad in a way. I mean, like, I believe that I was supposed to experience everything that I've experienced. And right now I feel like I am, I mean, some people could describe it as free falling. And that's one way of looking at it, through one magnetic lens, I guess. And now I just realized, like, I am enough distance away from the magnetic charge of who I was supposed to be through anyone else's lenses, and I am getting way closer magnetically to who I am. And I celebrate that. I celebrate that with you all, whoever cares to watch this. It's just a big, big epiphany for me, and it's worth sharing. So, you know, I'm growing a whole bunch of different things. I'm growing the Game Changer movement. I'm growing my organization, Dream Catalyst. But I felt most appropriate in calling this Morning is Broken and I Don't Want to Fix It, because this is the energy of those realizations. So I look forward to sharing more as more realizations hit and more epiphanies come my way, and I share this without intent to do anything besides share. And if it resonates with you, let's have a conversation about it. And I hope that you take this magnetic analogy and do with it whatever serves you and your family most. You know, I in the Game Changer movement, I'm actually hoping that we bring 2 hours of that polarity back to the living room or back to the backyard or back to some togetherness, some unit, so that the magnet can be, intertwined, and that eventually when we send our kids out into the world and it goes this way, we have a lot more confidence that that they're going to find their own way, and they're going to do so not based on rebellion and just doing the opposite of what we told them, which is definitely a possibility. But they're going to do so with our blessing, knowing that we want them to find out who they are. And I don't have any expectations that any of my kids turn into anything like me. And that's great. And if they choose to, that's great too. But it's definitely a choice, and not that I'm designing mini me's anymore. So I hope this helps add a magnetic perspective to your day, and I'd love to engage in any conversations around whatever insights this conversation brings into your life. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.